Welcome to Todd Talks, where I help you design your best life. Not the life that I designed for you, but the life that you desire. Welcome to Todd Talks, where I help you design your best life. Not the life that I designed for you, but the life that you desire. Today, I have a great episode for you. I did an interview with Alexandra Dotcheva. Alexandra is a former concert violinist, celebrated concert violinist, and the author of the new book, It Really Is Simple, A Holistic Approach to Self-Confidence. As a hospital nurse and one-time celebrated concert violinist in the insanely competitive world of symphony orchestras, Alexandra Dotcheva is no stranger to self-doubt and low self-confidence. Today, we talk about how to build self-confidence, how to overcome doubt, how to set goals. This is going to be a great episode. Take the time to listen. Well, very nice to meet you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
I read your bio and you are an amazing person. You have had a very distinguished career.
Oh, but so have you. That's what can I say? We do our best.
Absolutely. So for those that are jumping on here, would you mind giving a little explanation of who you are and what it is you do? I know you just finished a book, and so we'll talk about that as well. But first, if you could introduce yourself, that would be great.
Of course. My name is Alexandra Dotcheva. I'm an immigrant from Bulgaria. I came to the States in 2000 as a student. On a student visa, I earned my master's and doctoral degrees in classical violin in the United States in 2007. And by that time, unfortunately, the interest towards classical music had started to diminish quite substantially, and many orchestras started downsizing and bankrupting, which also happened to my employer in 2011, the Syracuse Symphony Orchestra. But having seen that things were not going in the right direction for people of the arts, I decided to pursue a nursing career in 2008. And that was one of the most difficult decisions in my life, because I had been conditioned to be a classical musician for 26 years at that time. I knew nothing else.
That's
I had no scientific, I had no scientific background, because in Bulgaria, when you're in the music school, you study primarily music subjects. So you're highly specialized in a very competitive field. And the downside of this is that you cannot function in any other area of life. So I realized in 2008 at age 32 that was wrong for me. I'm not saying that it's wrong for every musician, but for me, that was not the right path. I also had to face the fact that I wasn't competitive enough to survive in a decreasing market and decreasing demand for my profession. Like, for example, when the Syracuse Symphony bankrupted in 2011, you have all these musicians who are established in Syracuse, especially the older ones. And I have this hunger to grab all the music students possible. So the competition, all of a sudden, you can imagine. But the thing is, in 2008, I started nursing school. Huge change. A lot of studying, completely different fields. I had been in college 11 years already because of bachelor's, master's, and doctoral in music. And now, it's got to start all over now, right? But I realized this was a demanded profession. I was going to have a job anywhere on the planet. And I just wanted to get in touch with the real world, as I had realized I really had no touch with the real world as a musician. And that started bothering me. So in 2011, as I graduated from the nursing school, I had a job waiting for me in the ICU. And that was the year when my employer ended up bankrupt, ironically. And the timing was great for me. And I felt very bad for my colleagues. Many of the musicians who had spent their entire life with music, of course, they were in denial that, you cannot abandon music. Well, do you not abandon what you are used to for so many years because you really love it so much, or because you realize you have to learn a whole bunch of new skills and adapt to new realities? But many people are afraid to do that. And
survival is a very important thing in recognizing the reality that you're living in, to then be able to adapt and progress.
You know this because you have been in combat yourself. And
Yeah.
I can never compare my life to yours. My admirations. I truly have no idea what it is to be in war. And truly thank you for your service. But
Thank you.
people who have not been in touch with war and real imminent threat of death, we have all our own fears, which are very different from yours. And we can augment them out of proportion to fit our understanding of fear and victim mentality, and use it as an excuse for not progressing towards something new or more, I want to say profitable, but you have to have money independence, financial independence in order to have choices in life. And when you see that your job is stuck at a position where you don't have an ability to improve it anymore on your end, it's okay to change. It's really okay to change. And nursing helped tremendously, because once I saw how many nurses lived, I realized, oh, clearly that's not enough learning. I will be a nurse, and I have been a nurse for 12 years now. But you need to learn more in order to know what to do once you earn your salary and your secure job or not secure job. As we know now, the last 2 years, not exactly a secure job, but you need to have the choices to leave when your employer demands something that you deem unethical from your own medical standards and freedom of choice. You have to have something to back yourself on. And I became an investor in 2014, real estate investor, options trader. My boyfriend and I are now financially independent. We keep learning, working in this increasingly frustrating healthcare system because we love to help our patients. The patients need nurses. But as far as choices and being obligated to continue something that we decided is in compromise, incongruent with our ethical standards, we can distance ourselves at any time. And I think this is very important for people to have this choice and embrace opportunities for learning at any point, especially with investment in mind. And school doesn't teach you that. School
no,
teaches
it
you how to
does.
be an employee and have limited choices.
Totally agree. In fact, everything that you're saying right now goes along with, I was flying back from Iceland today, and so while I was flying back, I was listening to some Jim Rohn on my phone. And one of the things that he said goes along with exactly what you said. He said, in order for things to change, you have to change. So, or as you put it, you have to adapt if you want to improve your situation. If you're in a dead-end job, you need to adapt and change and maybe change your career if you see the writing on the wall. And furthermore, he also spoke about the fact that, you know, you only have the freedoms really to make those changes and to have the choices when you do become financially free. So, and in order to do that, I've spoken many, many times on this podcast about the fact that we have to have, well, almost all millionaires have multiple streams of income. Right. Having a single job will not get you the financial freedom, because as we've seen over the last 2 years, it can be taken away, it can be stopped, it can be blocked by forces outside of your control. And then what?
Right. And the good thing about this country so far, and still, is that there are many ways to become wealthy ethically, legally, and morally. You don't have to be that abuser of power and, you know, taking advantage of other people to become wealthy yourself. You can still follow ethical principles if you have them in the first place, right?
So many people are losing that because they don't even teach ethics in school anymore. At least when I was younger, we had a very short ethics course, but now they don't even teach that in schools. Like you said, schools seem to prepare kids to be an employee, and that's it. Don't question the management, don't question the government, be an employee and just do what you're told.
Yeah. We had an ethics class in nursing school. It was a nice semester in ethics, only for me to find out when I joined the workforce as a nurse that many people quickly forgot the ethical principles in medicine. And that was one of the eye-opening experiences that prompted me to learn even more beyond nursing school and embark on all these other learning curves of investing and what have you.
Yeah, now I have a question, because you did just recently release your book. And remind me of the title of the book again. The book is...
It really is simple. A holistic approach to self-confidence, a practical guide.
Yes, it really is simple. A holistic approach. I really like the idea of a holistic approach to self-confidence, because so many people, I think that's one of the biggest impediments to people worldwide, to people listening to this. I think a lot of people are stuck in jobs they hate, doing things they don't enjoy. They don't like their life. They're unhappy. And they blame it on their spouse, or they blame it on their job, or they blame it on the government, or they blame it. They're just unhappy. And when you boil it down, they're unhappy with themselves. They don't have the self-confidence they need. So if you could explain a little bit about your book and about the approach that you talk. Obviously, you can't go into all 300, 400, 500 pages of it, but if you could give a description, a summation of the holistic approach, that would be great.
I view life in 5 important aspects or pillars. These are health, spirituality, career, finances, and relationships. If you don't keep each and every one of these aspects at a high level at any time, you will not have a holistic self-confidence in your life. You cannot compromise your health. I mean, you enumerate all these things that people blame and hate when they're on the job, but they also compromise their health substantially. And you may end up saving hundreds of thousands of dollars only to then pay bills once you're 55, 60 or older for chronic diseases that you never managed or completely mismanaged. You ignored, you with the pretext that, okay, I don't have the time now. Oh, I have to take care of my spouse. I have to take care of the kids and all that. But you never made the time to truly take care of yourself. And that boils down to low self-esteem, as if you're not the important person, as important as your family members and your loved ones. You have to take care of your health in the first place and not use anybody else around you as an excuse or a job for not doing that, because then you will end up losing your wealth or a substantial portion of it. Then the relationships become very difficult. When money, relationships, and health are so tightly connected, I was surprised to see how people don't really connect the dots with these 3 components. Because if you have poor relationships, like get influenced from people with no knowledge about finances or no goals to become prosperous or improve themselves, you will fall into that same mindset, because it's very easy to get influenced by poor mindset, much more so than a rich mindset and proactive mindset rather than reactive mindset, right? So the 5 components, they are a very integral part of every person. Mm-hmm. People tend to either focus on one or obsess with one and then ignore everything else. And that's where there is a great disbalance in life and, how to say that, shortage of satisfaction with yourself and true enjoyment of life at any point. That's true.
And one of the things that you said just intrigued me and caught my attention. It's that the relationships and finances, and they're all tied together. And when it comes to your health, I've lost 30 pounds in the last 3 months. Finally prioritized my health because my wife and I prioritized it together. Okay. And so we've been able to work on it together. And in prioritizing it, in doing so, in taking sugar out of our diet, it's improved our relationship. It's improved our, it's improved our finances by not buying so much crap.
Exactly.
But, and one other thing that it's done is it's opened our eyes to how much out there is blocking, not blocking, but is pushing this negative, unhealthy lifestyle on people. There's a reason 50% of the US is obese.
Extremely obese. And it's not even pushing it, but they're just preventing people from seeing. They're not encouraging health lifestyles, and they're teaching the public very poorly about lifestyles because the health organizations are heavily paid by the animal industry and the processed food industry. Our life significantly improved 4.5 years ago when we became uncompromising, whole foods, organic vegans, my boyfriend and I. I mean, I had stopped meat in 2000, but I really wanted to become vegan once I hit 40. And he had a couple of developing chronic conditions that I said, well, let's stop the animal products completely. And in 4 months, everything was back to normal with him. And he said, oh, I'm sticking to that diet. So vegan diet, a ton of fitness, cardio and weightlifting. 2.5 to 3 hours a day, 4 days a week. And it's been great because you make the time for the things that really matter to your body and mind. You eliminate unnecessary time spending. The time is your most valuable asset.
And how does it make you feel when you prioritize those things as opposed to the things that you prioritized in the past?
Fantastic. I'm much more independent, much more self-reliant. My perseverance and resilience have grown exponentially. And when you are perpetually healthy and wealthy, you don't need to depend on others so much. It creates a great sense of self-fulfillment, and but it has to be based on measurable results, right? You're not delusional. You measure your results. You figure out, okay, I achieved what I wanted. Now let's do something else and achieve more. Can I surpass my goal? Can I have a bold and crazy goal? Yeah. Oh, I achieved that too. Great. What is the next crazy goal I can do? And again, you do this without hurting others, without compromising integrity and ethics and morals. And it's really good. That's all you need to. I mean, it sounds simple, but to do it consistently without compromise, that's where it's challenging.
So how does someone start? So somebody listening to this that really has a poor image of themselves, is unhappy, how do they start? What is the point that they can start at? What steps can they take to begin the process to develop holistic self-confidence?
Well, that depends on their goals, because everybody has different goals. To me, unfortunately, my starting point was when I hit rock bottom in my life. I don't suggest that everybody wait to that point, but because I was a very dense learner, I was a very slow learner in many aspects of, in terms of life wisdom and preventing bad errors, I hit rock bottom, and then there was no other way but up, and I embraced that way up. Not everybody's like this though, and you will have to make an honest analysis of your life and see what exactly you want to have in your life, what is preventing you from having in your life. You remove the obstacles, or you remove yourselves from the obstacles, or both, depending on the situation. And then you fill your time with the habits, you build the habits that will propel you towards achieving your goals. But being honest with yourself is the hardest thing. And when you hit rock bottom, you have no other choice. It's harder when you haven't hit rock bottom. You're I'm happy with yourself with this and this, but if you really aren't desperate to improve yourself. Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche is one of the most influential Tibetans in the Western world. And I read one of his books, I read several of his books, but when I was in my mid-20s, I read the first book I chose by him. And he said, you really have to feel nausea with yourself in order to improve your life. And I didn't believe that at all. I didn't understand. I said, what is he saying? Well, that's nice, but why do I really have to be nauseous with myself? What he meant was when you hit rock bottom, you can build the strength much more strongly because you know nobody cares for you. You have to do it yourself. You can get advice from people, but if you don't do the work, it won't happen. It's just, you won't improve your life.
Well, nobody can make your choices for you. You have to take the steps. You have, people can dream for you, but they can't make those dreams your reality. Only you can have your own dream, your own goal, and make the steps necessary to do it.
You can't start if you don't have a goal, because if you have a goal, then you see what's preventing you from not being there already.
Right.
Right. And then you start building the habits that will help you achieve the goal, and hopefully removing what's preventing you from achieving the goal.
Oh, absolutely. So that, when I was listening to Jim Rohn, he talks a lot about goals and how in order to basically he phrased it a little bit different than the Tibetan phrased it, but he said you have to, how did he put it? You have to resolve to never go back to the way you were.
Exactly.
And because without that resolve, without that disgust, that's the word he used, without that disgust for the way that you have been, you won't change.
Yeah, the disgust is very difficult because you are really disgusted with yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's a very hard period in life. You feel the vacuum in your brain and under your feet. And it's very hard to describe unless you experience it. That happened to me when I realized I was no longer destined to be a violinist. That was a horrible realization.
Do you still play?
I regretfully, I haven't touched ever since I've become a nurse. So that means more than 10 years, I haven't touched the violin at all. I used to practice between 8 and 10 hours a day, okay, for many, many years. You either practice or you don't practice.
Yeah.
But part of it was because I had dedicated so many hours and days and years to the violin that I was thirsty for learning other things that I felt that I had missed on.
Right.
While I was sacrificing my time to practice the violin, all these hours to become a good professional violinist. So I figured, okay, almost 30 years, that's fine. So then I dedicated myself to martial arts, to nursing, to investing. And this book I wrote took me the last 2 years pretty consistently. So it's okay, because I wasn't one of those lazy violinists that would practice 1-2 hours a day and then achieve everything. No, I had to work hard to achieve any skill that I wanted on the violin because I was not a natural talent by any stretch of the imagination. So,
and I've got to point out that you made it into top-rated symphony orchestra and were a celebrated violinist for when you were doing it. So that right there, from you saying that you didn't have natural skill, that you had to work for it, that is a testament to your drive, and congratulations on having that, because a lot of people don't put in the effort to accomplish a goal. They have a goal, they have a dream, and they quit because they're not perfect right from the get-go.
Right. Well, my parents taught me not to ever fall for that trap. Oh, they were adamant about work ethic. And it was interesting growing up because I come from a family that I have an ambitious mother. My dad was ambitious to an extent too, but they were like really on me for fulfilling my obligations every day. And it was not just the violin, but my homework and things around the house that my other friends didn't have to do. You're going to clean this, you're going to wash this and otherwise you can't do this and this and this. And my privileges could be. And they weren't by far not the most stern parents that I had seen. They were somewhere in the middle ground.
I would say they're good parents because they were actually requiring you to that's how you learn your ethics and morals and a work ethic is by being required as a kid to do stuff.
Very much so. Yeah. They did a great job, but it was at times very tough, and the resentment and why can't I now do what the other kid is doing? No, that's because that's not the way you should live your life. You're going to work for your privileges, and otherwise.
I have four kids myself, from 19 to age 24. And so I understand what you're talking about. Sometimes there was that little resentment because we required our kids to do things as well. And
imagine that.
But they all have a good work ethic. They all are helpful. They all see a need and go to fulfill that need, as opposed to see a need and just walk right past. I have good kids. My wife raised them right. I'm not going to say I did because I was gone a lot with the military. I was gone for their formative years. I was gone for half of the time.
Well, yeah, but you are a role model, regardless. You are a role model to your children, and now you're here, and they still grow with the example that you have given to them.
Well, thank you.
With hard work ethic, even if you weren't exactly at the house when they were growing up.
No, I was the dad in the box. I was on the iPad as as my wife walked around.
Very hard.
It's a way of life that you get used to. Everybody has different challenges. Everybody struggles. Every family, every person has their own struggles that they have to overcome. For some people, it's dad being gone. For others, they don't have a dad. For others, it's
dad being home.
Dad's being home, but he's abusive. I mean, everybody has different struggles to deal with in life. And I like to say, I don't judge somebody else because they sin or they have different struggles than I have.
Right.
Because everyone's going through something, everybody.
That's
and
true.
It's when they hit rock bottom, that's usually when they finally change.
Awaken,
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you grew up in Bulgaria, and as you said, the school system there, you focus on one thing specifically. You focused on music, and that was your life. And then you had to completely change in your 30s into a new path. And that was a struggle. How did you overcome the struggle and boost your self-confidence when you were going through that? Because I know you said you hit rock bottom. How did you personally develop the confidence that you have now?
Well, that comes with the years of experience. When you overcome challenges by solving problems that you previously deemed unsolvable, that's the only way to build solid self-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to solve problems that you didn't want to solve before. I went through a divorce pretty much right when I decided to become a nurse. And that was not my choice. So that was yet another contribution to the rock bottom. Yeah. And I resolved to become completely independent from that point on. That's what motivated me. So when you have desperation and curiosity and fear, and then inspiration comes lurking into the distance, you grab onto this like a drowning person, and that pulls you through. You create the goals. The goal was to become a nurse. So go to the prerequisite classes, then to the nursing school classes. It was stuff I was studying sometimes from till 3 a.m. Many days, because I was still playing part-time with the orchestra. Excuse me. I was teaching students here and there play the violin, and I was tutoring at the college, the science classes that I could finish the previous semester with A. So I was qualified as a tutor, which was funny because I didn't expect that opportunity. But then for a minimal wage, in spite of my doctoral degree, I was tutoring students, yes, but and studying. A lot of studying. Math class, 6 hours studying math, 5 hours A&P, then 3 hours chemistry, because like I said, these were foreign to me, let alone in English, all this terminology, and make sense of it all. But I was determined. I was going to pass these classes with A, which yes, I did, because I'm a freak that way. And the determination you find by seeing no other option but changing your life, and you say, like you said, you leave behind what you had before, even if it was 26 years of your life, and you embrace something new. If you're convinced of its value. And I knew that nurses were desired. I knew that in demand. I wanted to help people, and I loved science, actually. I was happy to finally have the opportunity to learn something scientific and not just art-wise. I couldn't use any of the classes that I had studied for all these 11 years as any extra credit because they were completely irrelevant to nursing. So that was, again, another bummer, right? How can we use some of your credits? Yeah, here, look at my... No, we can't really use any of that. Oh, thanks, great. So everything was as if I was starting from scratch, and it was from scratch.
But congratulations on your success.
Well, thank
And
you.
how have you enjoyed your nursing career since then?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I enjoy working with the patients. I am extremely frustrated with the system. I cannot reconcile the incessant greed of the healthcare system and pharmaceutical industry to profit heavily from chronic diseases, treating patients like assets and commodities. I do not like what the so-called health organizations teach on their websites as far as dieting, because the very foods they promote are the ones that cause these chronic diseases and keep people sick for decades until they die. They keep you permanently in a state of, sort of alive so you can function independently to an extent, but they don't really suggest how to cure these chronic diseases. And I'm talking cancer, heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, the biggest plagues and neurological disorders, autoimmune disorders, all these things, most of them man-made, right?
Yeah.
And man-maintained. It's like the asset management of the so-called financial advisors, most of which are poorer than you are. And we have disease management and symptom management.
Well, it's like putting the prisoners in charge of the prison and saying that they need to reform it, but they're in charge.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's hard. Nursing, you learn a lot about time management, not just in terms of your job, but your personal life. But you really, if you have any sense, you realize the big deception in the system pretty much within the first 5 years you're employed, if you're honest and willing to see through the facade. And that's when you become a true patient advocate. That's where you become a true patient advocate. My boyfriend, who has been a nurse for almost 30 years, that was his first and only profession. And in the emergency room for the last 25 years, he taught me from the get-go, he says, listen, your job as a nurse is to make sure the doctor doesn't kill your patient and that your colleagues around you don't kill the patient. That's your job. You never trust anybody. You question yourself and you're vigilant at all times. That's nursing.
You're taking care of the patient.
Yes.
That has to be very rewarding. So medical, that is one of the areas that I am very far removed from. I do languages, I do flying, I do diplomacy, but I have not ever, other than being a guinea pig for the military to shoot me up with whatever the latest vaccines are.
I'm sorry to hear that.
have not spent much time with the medical profession. However, I do run a side business of a health and wellness business, and everything that you're talking about goes along with everything I've been learning in my side business, because we are promoting and offering, healthy, natural supplements that add, because most people are not getting the nutrition, they're not getting the diet that they need. They're listening to the wrong thing. They're going direct to medicine as opposed to foods. And while we can't say we cure things, our products help to overcome the food and man-made diseases that people are having. And it's because it's promoting nutrition in the body, the brain, the gut. And so I'm not using this to sell my products right now, but the understanding that everything, all of those diseases that you were talking about, as well as the diseases of anxiety, depression, all of that comes from our mind, from what we put into our body. What we eat affects our mind. What we eat and what we watch and what we read affects our mind, and all of that helps to create the many diseases that we all suffer from. A lot more of, I think when people worked outside a lot, they did not, work with their hands a lot. there were not as many neurological disorders
Right.
50 years ago as there are today.
Even if they love to tell you that they were misdiagnosed and missed, right? Yeah, they weren't as many. That's right. And anxiety is a great point. I have dedicated quite a chunk in one of my health chapters in the book. But as far as supplements, if the supplements are made, of course, with organic products and ingredients, they can be great if you have a shortage of certain nutrient where you are in your area. I love supplements when they're used in conjunction with a very healthy diet.
And that's what we teach.
Right, because you can't add the supplements when you have a bad diet to begin with as a band-aid, right? And you guys teach that the diet is very important, and I hope people listen, because many of them think, oh yeah, I can eat still my, wings and pizza and all that crap, and I'm going to take this supplement. And there are advertisements on certain radio stations say, oh, this supplement helps me feel less guilty about my bad food habits. And can you possibly do this in an advertisement? You are undermining the efforts of these supplement producers in the first place. I personally don't take supplements yet, but I recognize that some people swear by them and they feel the improvement. But these people mostly also try to eat healthier than their relatives or friends. So that's commendable, right? It just, but not a panacea though. You have a healthy diet in the first place, and then you take the supplements to boost what you need.
Right, because so much, and the reason that we promote supplementation along with a healthy diet is that so much of because of over farming, it used to be crops were rotated and fields were left fallow to be able to get the nutrients back in,
the minerals,
the minerals back in. And so we've seen the studies that they've done that in the last 20 years, the amount of nutrition in the same vegetables is like 1/8 or 1/10 of what it was 20 years ago.
It's very disturbing.
In fact, it's actually a lot lower than that. The graph just kind of goes like, just down, down, down. And
because the more depleted the soil gets, the faster the nutrient content.
Well, because we push all this modification to grow bigger vegetables and bigger crops and more crops, but so we're providing food that has less nutrition in it. So while if somebody that eats, say, 10 ounces of vegetables today is not getting the same nutrition as 20 years ago eating 10 ounces of vegetables. And so because of that, that's why we promote supplementation now. It's necessary to really get everything that the body needs and the mind needs. So that's just one of the interesting things, because so much of our sense of self-confidence, going back to the whole topic of your book, comes from our mind, what we think about ourselves. And if we're feeling unhealthy, unwell, overweight, because of the way we've been eating, it takes us back around. We get into a spiral of destruction. And so going back into your book and your holistic approach. So we've talked about diet, we've talked about finances. Now you did mention a spiritual approach. In what way have you been able to improve your spirituality to boost your self-confidence?
I use meditation quite a bit.
Okay.
I do favor very much Zen Buddhism to an extent. And spirituality to me comes if I am able to enjoy as many moments of my day as possible thoroughly, from a job well done or something I've noticed around me that makes me smile, or just the realization that I have seen something that other people don't see. Just the fact that I register, my mind can register a different observation from others. That's a new perception of the world. And then with the work that I do, which is the career aspect, you have spirituality there when you really have the sense of helping others. And your clients will always let you know very sincerely if they feel helped or not. And that's where spirituality with the career comes. With the health, obviously you took excellent care of yourself and you're not ignoring yourself anymore. That's where the spirituality, it's hand in hand. They don't go separate. So it's hard to discuss spirituality separately from everything else that you do. Because if you provide high quality in your health, career, relationships, and finances, you will be a happier person. If you have less fear and anger in your life, you are a happier person already. And
absolutely.
Especially when you based it on your own achievement, willful achievement and measurable results, then your spirituality improves. And you have also more time to focus on relaxing your mind, first of all the clutter, because our minds, they just love to think and overthink. So you need to teach your mind to stop thinking for a little bit. That's a hygiene, mind detox, meditation. And then you free that space in your mind for inspiration, for your improved goals, your improved performance on your goals and new goals. And you learn from others. You get inspired from others' successes or mistakes.
Oh, absolutely. So I have two more questions for you. And I love what you just said about the spirituality, but my brain short circuits sometimes. But I loved what you just said about meditation. That was the word I was looking for, because we do need to declutter our mind. We need to have that space that time where we can flush out the negative thoughts and just let our mind rest. And so I do have two final questions for you. I'm going to need to go in a little bit. My dog is starting to tell me that she needs to go out. But the first question would be, if somebody wants to get your book, where can they find it? How could they order a copy?
I have a website with paperback and ebook available. The website is www.holisticselfconfidence.com. No dashes.
Okay.
They can also order through Facebook. They can link to the website. The page is Holistic Self-Confidence. That one obviously will have a dash between self and confidence. And I recently put it also on Amazon. I mean, I prefer people buy through the website, of course, but whatever they're comfortable with, it's perfectly fine.
I will put the link in the show notes below when I do it, so that people can click directly and go directly to your website.
I just want to say about the paperback. It's currently mostly available in the US. The ebook is worldwide. You just need the EPUB file reader on your computer. But we are also able to process paperback on an individual basis abroad. If they just let me know through the contact form their address, and then my fulfillment house calculates the shipping prices, and then the client can decide would they still want to pay the shipping price and the book, or just purchase the ebook instead from outside of the US.
Perfect. Okay, so my final question is, and I always ask this question to anybody I'm interviewing, it is, what is the one thing, if somebody listens to nothing else but this last 2 to 5 minutes, what is one thing that you would want to tell somebody and teach somebody?
Don't be a slave to conventional thinking and conventional wisdom, because they're almost always wrong. Question everything you learn as much as you can, but always develop the intelligence to question what you were taught, because everybody behind any teaching has an agenda. Think for yourself. Don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to solve problems that you deem unsolvable, because that's how you build self-confidence and self-esteem.
Excellent advice. If you enjoyed Todd Talks, leave a 5-star review. Todd Talks are available on Apple, Spotify, everywhere you listen to podcasts. Click on one of the links below in the show notes, and you can sign up for your own podcast, or sign up and get some of the amazing Q Science products that have helped me in so many different ways.